Centennial Rotary Club.
Try to stay away from
Mr. Buck, would you like to give us an inspiration, please?
I missed you.
Can we all bow our heads for prayer? As we gather here today as members of Rotary, we pray that we are ever mindful of opportunities to render to our service, to fellow citizens, and to our community, keeping in mind always the enduring values of life, exerting our efforts in those areas and on those things upon which future generations can build with confidence. Let us continue to strive to make a better world. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Tom. Mary Alice, would you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Samantha Johnson, do you have a Rotary Minute for us today?
I do. So, good morning, everyone. So, those of you who have not looked at your Rotarian, this is going to be just a public service announcement. So, in the Rotarian, they have plenty of different things that are very important to Rotary, etc. But one thing that I noticed, which is relatively new, is that Rotary is now getting into the virtual reality world. I don't know if anyone noticed that in their Rotarian, but there is this ad that says rotary.org/VR. And it's really interesting. There is an app, so you can actually download a VR app. And on that app are 3 stories. Well, you have to be connected to Wi-Fi, and I'm not, so never mind. But there are 3 different stories that you can utilize the VR app in. And what's really interesting is once you open it up, if you don't have a VR viewer, that's okay. You can actually just do it on your phone, and you can walk around while you're watching the stories, and it will be like a 360-degree tour of what's going on in the actual story. So it's really quite interesting. I suggest everyone go ahead and look at it, at least read a little bit more about it. But it's something that they're actually encouraging clubs to get into, to have VR parties, all kinds of things. So it's really interesting. So if anyone's really interested in virtual reality, that may be your way into the world through Rotary. So thank you.
Thank you, Samantha. Just make sure you move the furniture aside before you start walking around looking at the virtual reality. Mr. Peterson, do you have a business minute for us today?
I do have a business minute. It's pretty much monkey business, but as you all know, I retired like 3 years ago, and in doing that, my wife is retired too. So we spent our life in the photo business. So after we found that we had all these pictures that we've taken over the years, we decided we'd want to do something with them. So we started Colorado Card Company, and now we wholesale these cards and sell them in different shops around Colorado that are basically local produced product, including Tom Buck's daughter and son-in-law. They had the local out at Southlands and Parker. So what we make, and I've got some samples here if anybody wants any. I'll put them up here in front. You can come and take what you want, but we make, thank you, you're a good assistant. We make cards, greeting cards, stickers, postcards, and there's just some greeting cards like this. So anyway, that's our business, Colorado Card Company. We have a website, coloradocardco.com, if anybody's interested. But we're having a great time doing it. I don't know if we'll ever make any money, but it's a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And thanks to John. I mean, he was here before I got here, and he had the place all set up. I apologize for where we are again this week, but, you know, when you're the only game in town, I guess you know it. So, hopefully next week we will be in a room. As a reminder, next week we have Mayor Pico speaking. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. John Berry is going to be speaking more about that in a minute. I would like to introduce a couple of guests that we have here. We have Scott and Deborah, our speakers. They will be introduced formally in a few more minutes. And we also have a guest of John McCarty, Hanny Malik. Hanny, you want to stand up and just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hello, I'm Hanny Malik. I'm with the I'm representing Engineers Without Border. I appreciate John McCartney for inviting me and all the effort he has put into the Madagascar project, and appreciate all of your guys' support for our projects. If you don't, you may probably are familiar a little bit with it, but we're Rotary and Engineers Without Border are providing some drinking water for some villages in some very remote areas of Madagascar. John, you had this.
Well, Hani is planning on traveling to Madagascar in June as part of an Engineers Without Borders team. I told him about the success that Mark and John had with Water Rico, and we think that the bucket filters are the short-term solution in our village in Madagascar. So John and Mark have both agreed to spend a few minutes after the meeting talking to Hani about some of the logistics of getting the filters there. How much room do they take? I'm going to lose the tickets over here. What about equipment do you need to drill the holes? Those kinds of things, so that Hani can get an idea of what his team is going to need when they go to Madagascar. And this is our official invitation to all of you to consider a trip to Madagascar in June. Madagascar is a beautiful, exotic country. It's a long ways away, but once you get there, it's a fabulous place. You'll learn a lot. You'll learn to love the people, and you can do a lot of good while you're there. So any of you who have any thought of a possible trip to Madagascar, just let me know, and my wife and I will tell you about our experience. We'll invite you out to dinner, and then we can prepare you for Hani's team and spending some time in Madagascar. So give that some thought. Let me know if you're interested in a trip to Madagascar.
I am.
Thanks for being here, Hani.
Thanks, Hani.
Thank you all.
Okay, we do have one birthday this month, Eric Hoff. I know he's not here, but if you want to drop him a note, it's on the 7th. And we have two Rotary anniversaries this month. One is Jeannie Henshin. She'll be 6 years. And then Kevin Mackesy, 1 year coming up. So the hazing can stop. All right. I did put on tables copies of some emails. One is on the NIAN conference. That's the exchange. I guess it's the exchange students. Is Roxy here? No. Anyway, you'll see Roxy's name on the bottom, but it's about a conference that's going on here in the area, and it's a national conference for like exchange students. So
Tim?
take a look at that.
Would
Yes.
you like me to talk about it? I know about it. So.
Oh, please, if
Okay.
you know about it, talk about it.
Okay. Actually, yeah, could you turn up your microphone too? It's hard to hear you back here a little bit.
Trying.
So I'm just going to stand up because it makes it easier. So the NIAN conference is in March, and it is the conference is being held this year in Colorado, which is great. Last year it was in Omaha, and this is where all of the people who from all of North America and a lot from Brazil and other countries come in. So there are about 450 people who come in, and they basically learn about best practices for choosing students, selecting students, helping students along the way with the whole
package. So love it. I love that. Nothing better than your own birthday month is when your husband's birthday month started, and it's off to a bang. We had a fabulous weekend. Bluebird Ski Days all at Beaver Creek. Tonight I get to enjoy raunchy comedy with an evening with Adam Sandler. Eric and Rob Schneider. Eric's dream of the past 20 years is to see these two in concert. So no ab workout for me today because I'll do it tonight. And then just sincerely love you, and I am glad to spend this birthday with you. Happy birthday.
Roxy, you looking for $1? There you go. Thought I saw one.
Happy Tuesday. Have a great week.
Okay. Diana?
I'm just happy.
I have $1, and this is for John Peterson as well. Last week, I asked John if there was any way we could make our contacts come from the website into our contact base on my phone, and he didn't figure that out, but I got an email from him midday that day, and he had another way of me doing it to put it in my notes. So now I have all of our contacts, all of the information in notes versus contacts. We're still not where I want to be because I really do miss our directory. I'm an old paper guy when it comes to those things, but thank you, John. I appreciate all your work. Like instantaneously, you came up with a solution.
Come on, Alan.
I'm happy to announce, because I forgot to announce it up there. So I'm going to be doing a business mix, so I'm happy to invite all of you to it. It's going to be on February 22nd, and it will be at 6838 South University Boulevard, and I will send all of you an email, and we're going to do a business mixer at that location. So I hope you all will come. All right, that's my $1.
February 28th. February 22nd. Write it down. February, anytime in February.
I got 2 happy bucks for our guests. Henny, good meeting you. Thank you for being here. And our speakers, thank you for being with us today. And the second one is for the Pats. Who am I kidding? Of course not. It's not for the Pats. Go Duke. Basketball is in full season.
I got a buck. I'm just happy to be here at this funny table over here.
You're at the funny table for sure.
Behind you.
Mr. Hanna? Oh, yes, sir.
Thank you for being part of this and actually meeting a former Lebanese neighbor too. So thank you very much for having us.
There's Doug.
This is also $1 for John Peterson. He was kind enough to invite me into his home last week and to teach me how to put the Prime Timers calendar on the new website, which I really did appreciate. So thank you, John.
Good morning, Mark.
Good morning. I have yet another John Peterson $1. I was having a hard time starting the club's first GoFundMe account for Puerto Rico. And I went over to John's yesterday, and sure enough, we now have GoFundMe at Puerto Rico. So we'll be sending out the how to access it on the email to you guys.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah.
All right, so I have a lot of announcements, but let's see, Friday, it was so awesome. Roxy was kind enough to take me out to lunch in celebration of my graduation, and I just really appreciate it. She's such a wonderful person, and it was great to get to know her a little better. We had a great time. Saturday, one of my best friends had her first child, so I'm Aunt Sam now, and it was beautiful and amazing. And Sunday, I got engaged. So, was a trifecta of everything. So it was quite a weekend. And so just to add a little more to my stress, now I have a wedding to plan.
And a potential member.
Probably not right now.
Thank you, Samantha. Mary Alice?
Well, yet again for John, we had an issue with how we were going to separate the club activities from the prime-timer activities, yet get them both on the same calendar, and he came up with that immediately. And so I want you to know there's no excuse for not attending prime-timer stuff now. It's all on the club calendar in a different color.
You haven't told him that.
Jeannie?
John, you are the hit today because I went out and did the program speakers on the calendar. So if I can get out there, everybody in this room can get out there.
Cheryl?
I have $3. One is for our guest, Hani Marhabak. And for Deborah and Scott, thank you for being here. Secondly is an apology buck because I did mess up on the website. I got Mayor Pico. I just checked. I finally got into Dropbox. I got Mayor Pico and Gwendolyn Jewell turned around, and I believe that's part of my macular degeneration. So I'm really having difficulties with spreadsheets. And then the third is others have announced that they're going to Puerto Rico and they're going to go to Madagascar, and I'm going back to Lebanon if anybody would like to join me in building a number of playgrounds in October.
Thanks, Cheryl. Okay, did I miss anybody besides El Presidente? Oh, John Peterson. What?
This is a happy buck for John Peterson. I just have to say that you have no idea how hard it is to be me, and I really appreciate that. In all seriousness, in going through the archived newsletters, back years ago, not only did they take newsletters, but in the newsletter, everybody's happy buck wish was in the newsletter. That had to be a chore. Anyway, it was interesting to read that. Thank you, everybody.
This is John Peterson Day. Sir?
I have three. One is for our guests. Welcome. Thank you for being here. The second one, of course, is for John Peterson. I was here at 6:20 this morning, and the place was already set up. So, just amazing. And the third is, I don't know how many of you knew this, but last Tuesday I had to go up to Keystone and Breckenridge to do an install, and my lovely bride decided she wanted to go along with us, or with me. And so we went to Keystone first, did the install, then drove down to Breckenridge to find out that my wife had taken all the graphics out of the car and left them at Keystone. Oh, no. So I had to turn around, go back. So what should have been like a 3-4 hour day, got back here at 7 p.m. that night. And we're still married. So that's what I'm happy about. It can be. All right.
Tim, can I just say something?
No, I didn't hit her.
I found these lanyards that got separated from their badges. So if anybody is missing their lanyard with lots of pins on it, come check these out and see if it's yours.
Can we just have the pins?
Okay. With that, anybody else have any other announcements? Okay. Cheryl, would you like to introduce our speakers for us, please?
Well, I'd like to welcome Scott and Deborah. And I had a very brief chat with them, but they've had a very interesting background. They are high school sweethearts from Columbine High School. And then they went into the pastorate and went as missionaries to the Philippines and have come back
Hold it a little closer, Cheryl.
Say that. Hold it closer?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. And then I've had a very interesting career here in the Metro Denver area and around the world. They are going to be teaching or sharing with us, Find Your Voice, Live Your Passion, and Touch Your World. And each of us has something magnificent to give to our world, but all too often, the obstacles and fears of life obscure our path and vision where it concerns what it is we really want. This morning, they are sharing about new breakthroughs that help save lives through genetic cancer testing. Scott is an author of 7 books, and they both travel the United States and across the world and are personal coaches as well. And they also started a school, I believe, in the Philippines. So welcome. Glad you're here.
It's good to be here today. We're so glad to be a part.
Don't stand in front of the speaker.
It's good to be here today.
Let me turn mine off.
It's good to be here. Hello, testing. It's good to be here today with all you all. I feel so much joy in this place, and that's part of what we talk about. I wrote a book with Scott called Unlimited You, Overcoming Obstacles in Life, and I have several chapters about how you can live free from fear and stress. I have 3 secrets that I share about how to live free from fear and stress, which is the underlying causes of a lot of diseases like cancer. And so if you can live free from fear and stress, you can avoid getting a lot of these diseases that are obstacles to a lot of people in life. So we're going to share about how we can overcome and live a life of greatness and overcome this fear and stress.
All right, thank you, Deborah. I want to give it up. I want everybody to give it up to the MVP of this club, John Peterson. Let's hear it. All right. Hey, I'm excited to be here, and yeah, we have written a few books. I have, and always I have a little saying that we take what we have, what's in your hand, and you may look around you and say, there's no value around me, there's nothing, maybe I have shortcomings and difficulties and situations surrounding me, but taking lemons and making lemonade is a part of the process of life, right? And that's something that we all learn as we grow up. I started as a young man, and this is me, believe it or not, the nice, skinny, trim me, and that's Deborah's, the back of her head. And we started this journey how many years ago? 41 years ago. Incredible. And of course, since then, we've had the opportunity to travel and live in different countries and see a lot of different things. When we lived down in Mindanao, the South, that was back in, believe it or not, Marcos's time. How many remember a guy named Marcos and the People Revolution? And we were in the middle of that. I got accused of being a CIA agent. Can you believe it? Now, I don't know if you look at that head of hair right there. I don't know if I look like a CIA agent or not, but, it was an incredible time having that kind of a hair. But, we all grow and move forward and deal with our obstacles, right? And here, Deborah, she was speaking on success in life to school teachers and faculty, and we enjoy speaking to all kinds of groups from all kinds of places. Now, I want to just share a little bit about some different things that all of us deal with. And but here's where we've ended up. We just came back. We were in the Philippines, and we did a big conference there with several thousand people. And then, of course, over here is one of my last books I wrote, and these are people from different parts of the world. These are people even from Lebanon, Israel, over in Africa, different points and places in the world that we are impacting. And that's our part of that journey. In one of the books that I wrote called Your Voice, Your Message is really a threefold thing that I talk to people about, and that is find your voice, See, we all have a voice. Did you know that? Everything and everyone has a voice. And that voice resonates with people around us. I mean, even the trees and the stars and the sky and things around us speak to us if we listen and hear. People live their entire lives journeying through life, and some never find their true voice. Now, I know that many of you, I mean, obviously we're here in a Rotary club, and it's amazing that you guys have joined together to impact and make a difference. It's like an individual a story I heard once of a man, a little boy, he was born with polio. This little boy, this is many, many years ago, his family didn't have much money, didn't have a lot of money, and they couldn't afford to put him in a carriage, so they had a box built, and they carried this little boy everywhere. And this little boy grew up as an infant in a dire situation, a negative plus negative. And yet all the people around him, they saw him as somebody that was dysfunctional. In fact, his family would talk about around the table about what to do with this little child, this little baby, that maybe you should give him up. Maybe you should get rid of this child. He'll never make a difference. He'll never do anything. And in those days, that's just the way it was. We just have to take our lumps and, we will put him to the side and continue to live life. But this little child continued on. In the wintertime, he would look out the window and see all the little children playing, and it was in a snowy area, and there was people with sleds and playing and little children running. And he would look out and he would see them doing that. And so the parents would put little wooden sled things on the bottom of that box, and they'd pull him around outside. And that's about as much activity as he had. And so here's this little boy, this little child growing up, a negative plus. One day he was standing in front of he was actually sitting in the box, and a big mirror in the living room. And he looked up, and somehow, some way, he saw a vision of himself standing. And it was that vision that drove this little child, this little boy, to move forward, to pursue. And he would rock that box back and forth trying to get out of the box. And of course, the parents, not understanding what was going on, would scold the little baby and say, "Get back in that box. You belong in the box." And you see, that's the message that our environment and our society and things that happen to us, it's always those negatives that have the loudest voice at times in our lives that try to stop us, to keep us from moving forward, from making a difference, from having impact in our world. And so this child, he would continue to rock the box, and eventually that child would rock the box to the point where he'd fall out of the box. And they would pick that child up and scold him and say, "Get back in the box. You belong in the box. Don't try to get out again." And again, this little baby, this child would rock the box, fall out, and eventually the parents gave up and they said, "Well, just let him be." See, people, well, that's what they'll do. They'll just ignore you. They'll let you be. Let you stay in your dysfunction. Let you stay in your difficulty. But the boy, this little baby, was driven by an inner vision, an inner voice that told him to get up and to pursue the dream. And so he continued to pursue. He continued to drag himself 1 inch by another inch across that living room. And eventually was able to grab a hold of the edge of that table in that living room and pull himself up and eventually be able to actually stand on his 2 legs. So this little boy eventually was able to get up and take his first step, and a second step, and a third step. This boy, B.P. Perklin, eventually became one of the wealthiest men in Seattle, Washington. Why? Because he had a dream. He was driven by an inner voice that said, "You can be somebody, you can make a difference, you can have an impact." You see, I know there's people here listening to my voice that, yes, there have been difficulties, there have been obstacles, there have been families that have had situations that would make the most of us cry. There's things that we've all faced that would cause us to stop living. Even things like retirement. That was a joke. But we need to get up, listen to the voice, and see how can we make a difference? Who am I? What can I do? And see, that's what Deborah and I, when we started out, and you know, it's easy. Our environment has such a loud voice. The things outside of ourselves tend to regulate and control the directions and the things that we do. We become not a cause, but an effect. Cause and effect. You see, we are driven 90% of the time by what happens to us, rather than us just making that decision to become a causal force in our world. And you see, that's what I love about what you guys are doing here this morning. You are choosing, by joining together, to become a causal force, to make a difference, not just to sit by idly waiting for things to happen to you. You have decided to make a decision to become a cause that makes a difference in your world. Find your voice. Every one of us have a different voice, a different sound that resonates in a different way, that touches a different audience. Finding your voice is truly the most powerful thing you and I can ever discover in our life's journey. Find your voice, then live your passion. Live your passion. That means taking what you have, even if it seemingly looks like nothing. Maybe it's just 2 legs that are withered and dead below you, and you're having to drag yourself across the floor to get out of that box. Live your passion. I think there was a man once that was told to lead a generation, lead a people out of bondage, and he looked up to the heavens and he said, "What do I have? I stutter. I don't know how to speak adequately. What do I do?" And what did God say? He says, "What's in your hand? What is in your hand?" And he said, "I have a staff." And he said, "Raise the staff, raise the rod, and see what I do." So I think that's what the calling is for each and every one of us in our life, is to look and see. Measure yourself by what's in your hand, not what's not in your hand. Look and see what you have and take that to the world and make a difference. Find your voice. Find your voice. Live your passion. Touch your world. I didn't say the world. I said touch your world. Why? Because you are called to reach and touch something that's very specific to you. And you see, many times it comes out of our own journey. It comes out of our own difficulty. It comes out of our own struggle to make a difference. You see, B.B. Berkman, maybe he would never have become the wealthiest man in Seattle, Washington, if he had legs that worked. He discovered his weakness, and he turned that weakness through struggle, and he made a difference. See, I started out this morning, I was going to talk about genetic cancer, but I always go back to what my voice is, and my voice is, and some of you may be in the same place. You say, "Well, I'm too old, I'm too far gone, how can I make a difference?" So maybe you have a voice that will help the next generation. Maybe it's your voice that will help the Raphaels, you know, from another country that comes to our country, to encourage them, to move them forward, to persuade them to pursue their dreams. You see, sometimes we think, well, what are the difficulties and issues that can stop me? Is it cancer? Is it polio? Is it a spouse that leaves? What are the issues and difficulties that stop us from moving forward? What's the worst kind of difficulty you can have in your life? You know what it is? Self-doubt. Self-doubt. It really is. doubting that you can be a difference, that the surroundings do not define who you are, that your environment and the situations you're facing do not define you. And choosing to rise above that and make a difference. I was going to talk about genetics, and genetics are amazing, the things that we discover about ourselves these days. I mean, think about it. We can take a simple swab on the inside of our cheek and find out who we are, our genetics, our history. And how many have taken a 23andMe type test? I think my wife has. And it's amazing, you find long lost relatives you never knew about. I read something the other day that said that, let me get a drink of water. I read something the other day that talked about that even law enforcement is accessing databases of genetic pools, with the 23andMe and such companies to find and solve crime. And so the bad news is you may have a criminal in your family. But they're able to identify these kinds of things through genetics, and they're doing the same thing with the genetics of identifying cancer and identifying what the markers are in a person's body that could cause, not that you would ever have it, but so that we can be more aware of where we are going and how we can step in front of some of these issues. Some of these issues that may affect us and stop us from speaking and living and doing and being. So stepping out in front of illness and stepping out in front of the obstacles and being aware and being in preparation for those things that may try to deter us. And so I want to encourage you today to be able to make that difference and be that difference in your life. I only brought one of these books. I only have one, Your Voice, Your Message. It is available on Amazon. This was a bestseller on Amazon. But it talks a lot about some of the things that I shared, and it talks about some of the stories of things that we did just to get by into the inspirational ideas and creative ideas that all of us have at different times in our life, and how we were able to step out and take action. And see, that's the number one thing that you can do where it concerns your dreams and concerning the things that, we sometimes look at different ideas and choices, and we look at our past and we say, well, can I do this? Can I make a difference? And we diminish the dream by those things. And so I want to encourage you to take action. That's the number one thing that seems to be void amongst many, many people where it concerns their dreams. We play it safe, rather than choosing to step out on our dreams. And so I want to encourage you to step out on your dreams. This is a book that will make a difference. If you know somebody, a young person, anyone that would like to be encouraged and be inspired to make a difference, I encourage you to pick this book up. I did bring several of these other books. I was thinking of just auctioning this off and donating the money back to your club. Is that all right? Can I do that? All right, so I'm not a very good auctioneer, but if someone raised their hand, they say they want it and give me $5 for it, we'll give that back to, okay, I've got 5 back here. Okay, who's going to give me 5? Who's going to give me $6? $6? Anybody got me 6? Anybody got $6? And we'll give this To the next highest bidder, $6. Okay, I'm going to go up then. $10. $10 to the club. We're going to give $10. Anybody going to give me a bid on for $10 for this book? All right. We're going to go give it to our young lady back here, okay? You got a good deal. All right, well, I want to thank you for, did you say anything you want to say before we close? Is that it? I'm not sure where we're at.
We brought several copies of this book, Unlimited You, Overcoming Obstacles in Life. And it's a lot of great stories and information about how you can be unlimited and get through obstacles. Because life throws us obstacles all the time, but we don't have to make them stop you from living life. So if you want these, just see me afterwards. And if you have any questions, anyone have any questions or comments? Feel free to share.
How did you get started doing this?
Well, I think that, we started out and we were pastors actually for a number of years. And we were always, even when we were just met, we were always felt an inclination, a draw toward Asia for some reason, Southeast Asia. And although we ended up going to a lot more places, but it was just and I was driven by a creative mind, and so I probably put her through a lot of unnecessary struggle because, I'm always very, very creative. And, we started out just to make it, we would go door to door, and had this idea that if I bought me one of those, this was back when the battery-operated drills were just brand new, I'd put one of those on, and I'd go to the hardware store and buy a bunch of peep-hoes. And we would go down the street. She'd be on one side of the street, I'd be on the other. And I'd knock on doors, I'd say, peep-hoes for people. 1995, and in 5 minutes we could install a peephole. And so we did pretty good. Those are just crazy ideas. Remember JetX sprayer? JetX spray? Clean the front of your house, your car. Well, her uncle, Denny Proctor, him and his brother, they used to be spray concrete, clean concrete. And they ended up having this idea, and they created what's called the JetX sprayer, a multi-million-dollar idea that they took action on, a dream and an inspiration that changed their entire family. But it's amazing the things that, as young people, we start out with a pencil, we're writing our dreams down, what we want to achieve, what we want to do, our biggest dream. And then as we get older, we turn the pencil around to the eraser and start erasing those dreams. And that's a sad thing. So, yeah, just to make a difference. And we did radio for years in the Sacramento area. We were on radio and television and did a lot of different things. But we were always driven to international. We ended up in Uganda and stood by the river Euphrates. Well, I never believed that Euphrates was I thought it was down the other part of the world. But here we are. But your dreams will take you places you never thought they could. And it sounds like a lot of you have done a lot of traveling. You've lived a lot of different places. You've done a lot of different things. And, I want to encourage you that never stop. Never stop pursuing those kinds of things, endeavors where you can make a difference, because those are truly the things that will leave a legacy. We talk about finance and money and family, and those are important, valuable things. But really, it's what are you leaving the next generation? And how are you impacting them to live their dream, to make a difference? And that's really what it's all about, and that's the thing that will stand the test of time in history.
We got thrown the obstacle of raising our granddaughter. We've had her since she was 3 months old, and we thought our life is over and we got to raise another child. After 4 children, now we got our 5th child and we're ready to launch out. But it's became the best part of our life.
So, And that's a whole nother story. That's an incredible story where our daughter ended up with schizophrenia, living on the street. It's here in Denver. And she's back home with us now. And so, those challenges, our families and things that we deal with, we look at each other and we have a face, don't we? And you never know. You look at your neighbor and you go, wow, you never saw it before, but you go, wow, what a history. I carry a story, incredible story, and that we can appreciate in each other, and we can understand, we can have compassion for each other, other stories and difficulties, but we can also be a voice of encouragement, right? A voice of encouragement to those around us to continue on, to pursue. You can do this. Don't listen to all this other stuff that's trying to stop you. Let's move forward. Let's make a difference. Right?
Any other questions?
I had a quick question. You mentioned at the beginning of your presentation 3 things you can do to fight or alleviate stress. Do you mind sharing those?
Sure. I have a whole topic, a whole class that I teach on that, and it's in this book. But it's my 3 secrets is joy, finding joy in everything you do, what brings you joy, laughter, because joy is like medicine, and it could be through your pets, through your children, through living your passion, going for walks. Find your joy. Now, I'm the joy maker because I know that joy takes away that stress. Number 2 is, what are you thinking about? What are your thoughts? What are you meditating on? Are you thinking of things that bring you fear? Listening to the news every day? What is your main thoughts? You should think of things that are good and of honest and good report. And then number 3 is, what do you see? What are you looking at? Do you see things falling apart in your life around you, or are you seeing with eyes of what can be done, the inner vision? So what you see, what you think, and what brings you joy. And also happiness, gratitude. If you find gratitude in everything, make a gratitude journal. There's a whole, an hour's worth of information, and lots in this book, but that's the drift of it.
All right. With that, I want to say thank you very much. Don't go away, though. We have a literacy project where we donate books to a small elementary school library in North Denver. And in each book that we donate, a book plate goes in. And it commemorates our speakers. So this is for you. And we thank you very much. And we have one final chore for you. You're going to make someone very happy today, maybe. What is the pot up to now?
Over $600.
Over $600. Read the last 3, please.
Okay. 416.
416. John Peterson. It's your day, John. John, we won't have to do beer sales if we just keep you up here and get happy bucks for you.
Well, the only thing is this isn't my ticket. This is one I bought for Paul Horiuchi, so this is for Paul.
Okay. You buy my ticket next week. Well, 4-way test. Nope. Oh, it's a shame. Paul didn't win, right? All right. Thank you guys very much. Okay, one last little bit of business. Last week, Samantha was asking for volunteers to help with a couple of opioid education things that we're doing. I just want to make sure everybody's aware that she does need some help on that. So, have you gotten much of a response yet, Samantha?
I have 0 response.
0 response. So I'm glad I brought it up. But we have 2 events coming up between here and June.
March 11th and 12th.
March 11th and 12th. So she does need some help. So please, if you could, talk to Samantha, and let's see if we can't have another successful opioid education.
And one last announcement. I got 2 slots still, if we could get filled. Blue Marble, and Invocation. So if we got any volunteers for Blue Marble and Invocation? Okay, great. Karen, and is David here?
Okay. All right, thanks, Alan. Well, would you please stand and join me in the things we think, say, and do? Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Go out and have a great day.